All right, this is a Vinyasa flow to work on balance. So we're going to work on some standing postures and balancing poses. Let's start standing at the top of your mat in Samastitihi. Big inhale, reach your arms up, or Urdhva stretch out the front of your body. Just a big, nice stretch like you would in the morning. And then on your exhale, go off to the side bend. So grab your left wrist, inhale, and then exhale. Off you go, stretch to the right, push down into your left heel and turn your left ribs open. Big left side stretch. Inhale, then release back up to standing. And you're going to switch your grip. Exhale here, release your arms. Inhale, back up with your arms, Urdhva. And this time, grab your opposite wrist. So your left hand grabs your right wrist, and you're going to stretch over to your left. So take an exhale. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale off to the left. Bending the left side, stretching the right side, and keep pressing into your right foot, opening your right ribs up to the ceiling. Inhale, release back up to stand. Exhale, Samastitihi, standing pose. In standing pose, feel your weight equally balanced between both feet because we're going to balance right here. So right now, feeling the weight equally distributed between your 2 feet. Scooch them apart as far or as close as you need. And then you're going to lift your left knee up to your chest. Maybe just start by lifting your heel and then your toes. You can use your hands to help if you'd like. Then on your next inhale, add in the arms reaching if you're not using your hands for your left knee lift. Big push down through the right heel, bend your right knee, and step back with your left foot, lunging, kind of leaning forward as you do. And then once you find your balance, inhale, high lunge, reach your arms up to the ceiling. Keep pressing your right knee forward and push straight down into your right heel. Lift your left heel, engage your left thigh. Big inhale here. Exhale. And see if you can get a little deeper in the right knee bend, but it doesn't necessary if you don't. Inhale, step forward, lift your left knee right up to the ceiling again. So squeezing your left knee up to your ribs, and then step down on your left foot. Standing pose, Samastitihi. All right, shake it out if you need. We're going to do the second side. So again, find the equal weight between your 2 feet first. Again, if you need to take your feet farther or closer, step them out or in. Start by lifting your right heel first, and then lift your entire foot off the floor. Pull your knee up into your chest. Use your arms to help if you need the arms out to the side, or if you want to hold your knee up with your hands. Or on your next inhale, reach those arms up. Big inhale, push down into your left foot. Left leg is strong as you hinge at the left hip. Lean back or step back with your right foot as you lean forward. Lunging here, high lunge. Once you get your balance, inhale, reach your arms up. Head stacks up over your hips. Again, the deepest lunge isn't the point here. We're just working on balance and transitioning from front to back. So feel those 2 feet almost like they can pinch the ends of your mat together. And the left heel driving straight down into the ground. Right toes, all 5. Actively press your right heel up to the ceiling. All right, and then we're going to come forward again. So take an inhale, and then on your exhale, you can start to lean forward again and pull that right knee into your chest. All right, so here I'm going to lean forward, inhale, exhale, squeeze that right knee up. And balance here. And then set your right foot down. Standing pose, Samastitihi. All right, we're going to add on. So we're just going to keep playing with some balancing transitions here. Reach your arms up, inhale, Urdhva. On your exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. It's the first one, so go gently with it. You can bend your knees here if you need. Drop your head in, let your back relax for just a moment. And then on your next inhale, engage those back muscles and lift your head up a little higher. You can have blocks under your hands here or your fingertips on the floor. And then we're going to start by lifting the leg up behind. So right here, engage your abdominals because your hips are flexed. Engage your back muscles because your back is extended. And then you're going to lift your left leg up using your left glutes and left hamstrings. Press down into your right foot. adding in the right arm forward if that's okay. I'm going to bend my right knee here now so I can feel the left heel and head get a little bit more in line. And the right arm is forward, so right knee is bent, right thigh is very, very active. Again, use a block under your left hand if this feels uncomfortable, if the floor is too far away. Now land on your left toes. Inhale, reach your right arm up to the ceiling and stretch your left hand down the back of your left leg in a little bit of a reverse high lunge, lifting your chest up to the ceiling. Then turn your left heel down and exhale, take your right hand to the front of your right shin, leaning out over your right thigh for side angle, of a nice little modified version here. So we're not trying to get to the floor, just stretching. And feel where this is also challenging to your balance. Pinching the mat with your feet, driving down with your left heel. Use your back muscles to open your chest. Stretch your left arm overhead. And feel that breath moving in. And as you exhale, circle your left arm down to the floor. And then come back up to that standing leg lift where your fingertips are on the floor. Left leg is lifted. Now take your right hand to your hip and start to rotate on your spine. Turn your right ribs up to the ceiling. Squeeze your inner thighs toward each other. You can add the right arm in if you'd like, stretching your right arm up. Press back with your left foot and down with your right foot. Exhale, untwist, hands to the floor, left foot to the floor, and fold over your legs. Uttanasana. Exhale. Take a few moments here as long as you need before, if you want, you can step back into downward facing dog. So if you're not moving into downward facing dog, take a moment in a standing forward bend and just enjoy that. In downward facing dog, if you're there, press your arms straight and lift your sit bones up. And I'm going to move through a little chaturanga here. Knees to the floor first. I'm going to modify the chaturanga. I'm actually going to take the 8-limb pose, Ashtangasana, where toes, knees, chest, hands, and chin are on the floor. And then inhale, point your toes back and glide through your shoulders with your chest, Cobra, Bhujangasana. And on your exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your toes, lift your knees, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Feel the pose rotate on your shoulder heads. Long rib cage sides here. You can feel the sides of your rib cage really long and spacious. You can also feel your thighs are very strong. We've got that second side to do on that balancing series again. Big inhale here. Exhale, soften whatever you can, and then step or hop up on your next inhale. Exhale as you fold over your legs at the top of your mat in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Inhale, reach all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana, upward hand pose. Samastitihi, exhale, standing pose. All right, catch your breath here. Maybe just find your balance between your 2 feet here. So Tadasana is the base pose for all standing position, kind of like the home plate, if you will. So take as long there as you need to check in. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. When you're ready, exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. All right, so again, we're going to prepare for the leg lift. Half lift here with your head. Press your arms to straight, maybe a couple blocks under your hands. And then we're going to lift the right leg this time. And so right away, your upper back is strong, opening your front chest. Lift your right leg from your right glutes. Then stretch your left hand forward and bend your left knee so you can feel the balance is a little easier here because the right heel is now not super high and your head isn't lower, making you want to fall down through the front. Strong left thigh because you're going to land here in just a moment. Bend that left knee deep and then go ahead when you're ready and take the right foot down on the floor behind you. You can see where it's going to go. And then here, left hand's going to lift up, head up, shoulders up, chest up. Right hand finds the back of your right thigh and then stretch it down. Instead of leaning on your right hand, just stretch it back and lift that left arm, pinky finger side of your arm up. All right, and then as you exhale, turn the right heel down and start to lean out over your left thigh in side angle. Take your right arm up overhead and press through your right foot. Really press down through that right foot. Use your back muscles to extend your spine here and open your chest. Open your chest here. Press down through your left heel. Squeeze that left sit bone towards the back of your left knee and keep pressing through the back right foot, the outside edge of your right foot. Spinning your ribs open with your core muscles and the spinal muscles. Inhale. And then on your exhale, take your hands to the floor. Step back up to that standing balance. Left foot on the floor, right leg lifts up behind you. And then right hand on the floor here. Left hand to your hip, start to twist open, squeeze your inner thighs together, and then stretch your left hand up to the ceiling, pressing back with your left foot, or your right foot, and forward with your head. Press down with your left foot. So you can feel your feet pressing away from each other. Good, and then exhale, release your left hand down to the floor, right foot to the floor. And again, take a moment to fold in here, Uttanasana. Stay here as long as you'd like to just kind of sway, maybe twist. You could squat down or take Chaturanga Vinyasa. I'm going to step back through downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Big inhale to lengthen out the ribs and the back muscles. And then on my exhale, come forward. I'm coming forward into plank pose. So you could revisit the Ashtangasana, knees down, or you could take the straight leg plank. I am going to go knees, chest, chin. And on your inhale, take your chest through your shoulders, open your heart, press down through the heels of your hands using your triceps, and open the front of the body from toes all the way past your hips, all the way up past your chest through your forehead. Tuck your chin, tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and gather your breath here. Feel your hands and feet equally supporting your weight, and feel the balance even in this posture that might not feel like such a balancing pose, but can you balance out some weight and the exertion? Can you balance out the muscular exertion? Okay, we're going to step forward with the right foot. Left heel turns down, right foot to the center of your mat, up at the top of your mat. Inhale, warrior one. So your heels are lined up here. Reach your arms up to the ceiling once you feel you've got a good spacing between your feet, and keep pressing the ends of your mat away from each other with your feet, but imagine you can pull the ends of your mat back together with your inner thighs. Lift your belly button, lift your heart, maybe even lift your gaze. Inhale. And then on your exhale, turn your arms open. Let your chest just stay facing in the direction of your hips. So your left toes are angled in, your left hip is angled in, and the right hip and right toes are angled forward. And instead of turning your torso, open your arms and look out over your right hand. Strong legs here as you straighten your right leg and take your right hand to your shin, Trikonasana. Press your right leg straight using the thigh muscles and then using your calf muscles to really feel that plantar flexion in your right ankle. Root down into the ball of your right foot. And then squeeze the mat with your heels. Rotate your torso open. You can look up to your left hand or you can keep your gaze straight out, eyes in line with your chest. All right, go ahead and look down to see where you are going to now take your right hand forward out in front of you, left arm to your hip, and then start to lift into half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Your left leg is slightly higher than your hips, especially if your head is lower than your hips. If your right hand is on a block, when you lift your head up, you're going to lower your right foot or your left foot down. Okay, so keep that in mind. Your left heel and your head hopefully are in a nice straight line. Squeeze the right thigh around behind, so use your outer right hip muscles to pull the right thigh into external rotation. All right, land back on your left foot, pyramid stretch. And if you feel like you've landed too far back, you could step forward with your left foot and just fold out. Enjoy the stretch over your right leg. You can inhale, lengthen, engage your back muscles, and just try to lift the right hip a little higher. And then exhale if you want to fold back in. I'm going to step right back, plank pose, chaturanga exhale. So take as long as you need in those recovery poses. And I felt like pyramid was a good recovery pose. If you need longer there, please stay there a little longer. Not everyone enjoys that, so get out of it if it's painful. If you're going to move through a chaturanga vinyasa, make your way through chaturanga on your exhale, up dog on your inhale, and downward facing dog on your exhale, or revisit that 8-limb pose. And find your balance here between your feet again. All right, big inhale through your nose, expand through the back ribs. Exhale, soften your upper back a little bit. And right foot plants down so the left foot can step forward. Now, warrior two, let's get that second side in. So root through both heels here. Heels, the two of them line up, hopefully in the center line of your mat. And then bend your left knee in the direction of your second left toe and open your chest up. And just let the right hip move as you bend your left knee forward, and the hips will rotate on their own. Take your right ribs forward, not the right hip, and press back into the outside right foot. Lift your chest, big opening here, and then exhale, open your arms as you turn your torso slightly. So we're not shoving the torso square to the side of the room. Instead, you feel your collarbones, the inner collarbone points line up with the front hip bones. And then turn your gaze over your left arm. Your left arm might be slightly higher than your right arm. It just helps to keep that left hip from sagging and your left side from bending. Push back through the feet. One more big breath here, and then we're going to turn this into Trikonasana triangle pose. With that left thigh as strong as it is here, start to pull the left knee up and lean down onto your left shin with your left hand, and then stretch your right arm up to the ceiling. Again, you're pushing back through your right heel. Try to elongate your left side so it's not over contracting, the obliques are not. So there's some lengthening out through the left side. And then a nice big squeeze in that left thigh to pull the kneecap up, and your left calf muscles pressing out through the left big toe. Gaze could be up to your right hand, or you can simply gaze out to the side of the room. And then turn your gaze down to the floor so you can transition into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Left hand comes forward, right leg up. Again, you're going to lift the right heel slightly higher than the head, especially if your left hand is down on the floor. And if your left hand is on a block, you're probably going to have your head higher, which means your right heel won't need to be as high. We just don't want to force a big, huge pull along the outer iliotibial band and tract area, so the outer right hip. Keep pressing back with your right foot and lengthening your back spine with your back muscles. Open the inner left thigh around behind you, and then take your hands down and take your right foot back down on the floor behind you, pyramid pose. So on the first side, I mentioned that this was kind of a recovery position, and maybe some people don't feel like this is a recovery posture. If this really is not comfortable for you and causes low back pain, skip it and step right back to downward facing dog for your recovery position. Otherwise, if this is happiness for you, exhale, fold in, and then maybe take a slight, readjustment moment to lift your back, lengthen out your chest, and pull the left hip up, and then you could fold back in. Couple breaths here, and then we'll step back downward facing dog. So back with your left foot, maybe plank pose for chaturanga, or downward facing dog for an extra moment to stretch out. If you're moving through your chaturanga vinyasa, inhale into cobra or up dog, and exhale downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Big breath here. Let it soothe your muscles, let it invigorate your body, your breath that is, but also let it relax certain areas so your exhale is calming and quieting, your inhale is invigorating and energizing. Going for balance. So this is all about balance, not just actual physical standing balancing, but balance in your body. Let's take knees to the floor, and I'm going to take my left knee around behind the right knee, split the feet so I can sit back down in between my feet in Gomukhasana, cow face pose. Feel free to sit up on a block, or feel free to pull your right leg over and simply let your ankle hang on the top of your left thigh. I'm going to twist here. So I'm going to take my left elbow on the outside, or left forearm on the outside of my right thigh, and right hand to the hip. My thumb is on my spine here, and that helps me to push into the spine with my thumb so my elbow points back and my shoulder doesn't collapse. Another option here is right hand wrapping around to your inner left thigh and taking a bit of a half bind. But keep lifting your chest up from your middle back muscles. And think of that as a push-up. So your upper back presses your chest forward, and your front core stabilizes and reduces the rib flare. So the front spinal core muscles pull back in, and the back spinal muscles press up and open. Smooth your breath out here. One more big breath here. And then exhale, release. Just take a moment for that twist to untwist. All right, and then come back over. And I'm going to turn over into an arm balance. This is optional, so if you're not enjoying arm balance options, then take cat-cow, downward facing dog, plank, chaturanga, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to come up to my left knee. I've hooked my left arm around the outer right knee, and I'm going to create a shelf here for the right hip on my right elbow. Left elbow supports right knee. You can split your legs out. Ekapada Kondinyasan A. And maybe shoot back chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And take a few moments here. If you're playing with that arm balance and you need to pause the video and work on that a little slower, please do, and break it down and take your time. There's absolutely no rush. Downward facing dog here. Big breath in. And again, see if you can use the breath to balance out the energy here, your effort, your calmness, the sense of ease here. Okay, come back into kneeling position. So now you can take your right knee over behind your left knee, crisscrossing the thighs rather, splitting your ankles and sit down between your heels. Again, set this up with your modification so you can gently twist here. If you need to sit on a blanket or a bolster, please do, or if you need to pull the left knee over slightly. Right arm is going to hook the left thigh this time, and then my left hand's going to come back. And again, I'm going to show you this thumb on the spine idea is that you're pushing into the spine with your thumb, and then your elbow is pressing back away from you. So that engages the upper back muscles to keep your left shoulder from collapsing. And you could stay here, or if you want, you could start to then wrap your left arm around your right side and hook your right inner thigh. Whatever you're doing, that you're pushing down through the hips and then lifting and lengthening, and again, using those back muscles to press the chest forward, but using the front core muscles to zip those ribs in so they don't flare out too much. Soften your face and your brow, and wherever you are gazing, just find a steady gaze and try to drop your gaze back from a deeper part in your brain. So you're not looking out from the front of your head, you're gazing out from the back of your head more. And that will hopefully soften your jaw and your face. I notice I like to use my eyebrows and my jaw to twist for some reason. Not helping much, just giving me a headache. And then keep the right shoulder lifting so it's not collapsing. Okay, inhale, release your twist. Pause here for just a moment to unwind. And then come back over into hands and knees. And then from here, you could step back into your chaturanga, downward facing dog, or play with the arm balance on this side. So I'm kneeling on the right knee, kind of sitting on my right heel. And then I'm going to tuck my right arm around the left knee. So try to get the left knee up on the highest point of the back of your right triceps. And then here you can shelf your left hip with your left elbow. Maybe your left ribs just kind of come to the elbow instead. Split your legs, open your chest forward. There we go. Push down into the heels of your hands. And then shoot back chaturanga or step back chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Of course, child's pose is a wonderful place to go after the arm balance, just to give your wrists a break if that was exhausting on your wrists. And then we're going to come to the floor here in a moment for some seated forward bend. So take your time in this pose. If you want to pause and be here longer just to collect your breath and check in with your energy levels. But I'm going to come down to kneeling and come to seated. I'm going to take Upavishta Konasana just to start, the wide leg forward bend. Just setting up the pose. So find even balance in your sit bones. Your legs do not need to be in a straight line, so it's not a center split. You have an angle in your hips, in your legs. Press out through the feet. If you need to take your heels in or out a little farther or closer, adjust it. Let's just test this by coming forward to the elbows. If you've got blocks or a bolster or something you can come out to. I like to put my elbows on the floor and kind of pull my chest through. Or if you just want your arms straight out in front of you with your arms straight, see if you can press your sit bones back behind you and try to get your hips to anteriorly tilt so your sit bones are jutting out behind you. With elbows on the floor here, I can pull my chest through and make sure I'm not rounding down and collapsing into my top long area in the upper chest region. Keep pressing out through your feet. Make sure they're active. And it's not necessarily that you have to have your legs straight or your thighs tacked down to the floor, but just keep the feet active. And then I'm going to walk over to the right. I just love to move around in these postures to see where I can get into some deeper little areas some nooks and crannies that maybe wouldn't have been affected. Use blocks as you would like. So here I'm taking my elbows on either side of my right leg and doing the same thing that I did through the center, pulling the chest through. Left sit bones lifting off the floor for me, and that's fine. Please don't try to jam it back down. And then take your time here. If you want to stay a little longer on each side, take it as long as you'd like. Please practice these forward bends with as much leisure as you've got available to you. I'm going to come up and walk off to the other side. I pause through the center though, just to check in, reset my legs if they've shifted, and then off to the left. So elbows on the floor or blocks, pulling chest through. Maybe your elbows are not anywhere near a block or floor, and that's fine. The arms can be straight. You're still pulling your chest through. And again, if the right sit bone lifts slightly, that's fine. Let it. Just keep your right foot active and your back muscles actively stretching your chest towards your left toes. All right, and then inhale to come back up, back through center, check in. So one option is to just revisit that forward bend, go back over to the right or the side bend, or add this into a revolved version, add the revolved expression here. So I'm gonna still stretch out to the right thigh, but now I'm revolving open up to the ceiling, left torso, I'm revolving my torso. And so this is a little Parvrit Urdhva Konasana. Upavishta Konasana, right? So you're kind of facing upward. You can add the hands in, grabbing your foot. You don't need to be anywhere near your foot with your hands. Maybe you're just leaning out with your right hand and your left hand stays on your hip. But keep pressing out through that left foot. Don't forget about the left foot. Left sit bone's gonna lift a little bit. That's fine. Allow it. And then inhale back up through center. Again, it's an option to simply revisit walking over to the leg and forward folding down the leg with the chest. I'm going to turn towards the right side now so I can take the revolved version of this side bend, and I'm going to lean out over the left thigh with my left ribs. And really be careful here. Your left side can cramp up. The bending side, the obliques might be working just a little too much. So you may not need to go down to your elbow. Maybe it's just simply taking your left hand straight out towards your left foot. And again, the right hand does not need to come overhead, but it can. You can reach up then with your hand and grab, or you could take your right hand behind your back, hook your left thigh. I'm going to show you the binding, the wrist grabbing variation here. And I don't know what this is about twisting, but I always get it wrong. So you'll see me kind of struggle with it for a moment. But there's a bind that you can take with your hands. And right there, it's like, no, that's not right. So there, yeah. I have to look at it. Yeah. So the right hand is overhead and your left hand grabs the right hand. And then you just kind of push out into it. It's just an extra option. Look, it's not going to make or break the pose. Don't do it if it's too confusing. Come back up to center. And then forward fold down the middle one more time. Noticing if there's any more space this time around after getting in those isolated forward folds. Open your chest, press out through your feet, soften your brow. And again, drop that gaze back from a deeper place. All right, I'm going to come back up now as I inhale and then take those legs back together. And then we'll turn around and come onto the back into a supine posture, so reclining position. You can just take a moment in a supine position if you'd like. I like to here just kind of sit for a moment and maybe like a seated Apanasana, squeezing the knees into chest. Or maybe you want just to take staff pose here, right? So just a moment to center and ground. Because moving too fast is dizzying. And if this is all about balance, that's not going to do any good. On your back, once you land there, your left foot is on the floor. Cross your right ankle over the left shin. And be careful with this. We're not going to take this into a rounding of the spine. So if pulling your left knee into your chest causes your sit bones to lift and your low back to lift off the ground, put your left foot back on the floor or a block. Keep your sacrum on the ground here, and your low back maintains a little natural back bend. Keep your right foot flexed and your shoulder blades pulling back to the floor, your shoulder heads pulling back to the floor. Because we're going to move into a back bend here, and I don't want you to go back and forth between an intense back bend and an intense forward bend. So here, put your left foot back down if it's not already. Place your palms on the floor and then start to lift your hips for bridge pose with your right ankle crossed over the top of your left thigh. If you can take your hands behind, interlace your fingers, wiggle your shoulders closer together, go for it. If not, you could bend your elbows and take your palms facing each other, fingers up towards the ceiling like some robot arms. Push down into the floor with the tops of your shoulder heads. So you're not trying to really do anything other than get your chest to open up. Add on here if you want, right leg up to the ceiling. One leg bridge. Keep pressing into the center of your left heel. You're going to feel your left glutes and hamstrings fire up. Press up with your right foot. Press down with your shoulders. The top of your shoulders roll back and down towards the floor. The front part of your shoulders roll back and down. Chin is long, so try not to press into the floor with your head. Your head is not going to hold your right leg up. It's not going to hold your hips up. Recross your right ankle over your left thigh. Another big breath here. Lift those hips a little higher. And then release your arms. Get them out of the way. Come back down to your butt. And from here, just a moment, let your back neutralize. Again, you're going to pull. You're going to keep the right ankle crossed. You're going to pull your left knee in, but you're not going to round out the back. So again, this is not a back, it's not a forward bend. It's a hip opener, not a forward bend. So keep your back sacrum on the ground. If you need your left foot on the floor, keep it on the floor. You can breathe up and down that long, tall spine that you've got there. Right up into the top ribs, top of your lungs, under your collarbones. Okay, release your left foot down, take your right foot down, and we'll get that second side in. Left ankle crosses over your right thigh here. Flex your left ankle. And so here you could stay with your left ankle just simply crossing and gently, pushing your left knee away with your outer left hip muscles, or even your left hand. Otherwise, pull your right knee into your chest as long as your backside's not coming up off the floor in a rounded spine. Keep your low back engaged, so there's a bit of a back bend here. And then again, your neck is tall and long, collarbones open, chest open. Keep your left ankle flexed. And we're going to move this into that back bend here in just a moment. So take another breath or two here, opening in the hip. And right now, connect to that low back bend. Imagine you're already in a back bend and what's happening in your lumbar spine. There's just a slight little bend in the back. Right foot to the floor. Here's where I was talking about the elbows, the robot arms, if you will. Elbows on the floor, hands facing each other, palms facing each other, fingertips up to the ceiling. Otherwise, you can take your hands behind, interlace your fingers, and again, the front shoulder area is rolling back and down towards the floor like you're shrugging back. Pressing that chest through without pinching your neck. Push straight down into your right heel. Use the add-on if you'd want. Left leg up to the ceiling if you want a little extra work here. Left foot presses up actively though, so don't let your left leg be a dead weight there. Pushing up with your left foot. Your front left hip is flexing, so it's engaged. Back of your right glutes and hamstrings are very strong here. Press straight down into your left heel. Another breath or two here, and then cross that left ankle back over your right thigh as soon as you feel like it's enough. One more big push up here, really open that chest. And then you can start to lower down, get your arms out of the way. Take a moment here, let your back hit the floor, let your hips hit the floor. And again, feel that little soft low back bend. And you can stay here with your right foot on the floor, gently letting the left knee fall away from you. Or you can thread through, grab the front of your shin or the back of your right thigh. Again, not pulling your hips up off the floor. So keep your sit bones pointing forward or even down to the mat. The low back arch, little low back arch, not a massive one. And then you're going to slowly release your foot back down to the floor in the next moment or two. So get the last breath in here that you want to enjoy. And then your feet come together in Supta Baddha Konasana on the floor, supine bound angle. I like to take my arms above head in this position. You're welcome to take any expression here that feels good to you. I'm actually going to add in a bit of a resistance here for this reclining bound angle. So this is the restorative version. And you're welcome to use blocks for the outer thighs or any kind of support from any additional props. And then I'm going to add on here, as I was saying, to that resistance stretch. So I'm going to take my feet up, hands to feet. And then as I push into my feet with my hands, I'm pulling back down towards the floor with those shoulders. Again, same thing as bridge pose. The front of your shoulder heads are rolling back and down towards the floor. Find a grip that helps, that you can keep, that is firm. So for me, it's on the outside edges of my feet. And then I can press my knees away and pull the shoulders back. Happy baby is another great option here. So you could always take your feet up to the ceiling and pull your knees down to the floor. At this point, you're welcome to pull your knees into your chest and then lift your hips up here. So now you can feel that low rounding in the back. And rock and roll here if it makes sense to your body. I'm going to move into a twist. And not everybody loves the twist. Please end your practice with something that feels good to you. I'm also going to add in an extra little hand variation in my twist. So my knees have fallen over to the left. I'm going to hook my fingers, little C hook. And so that my right fingers, I believe, are going to hook the left. I can't remember what I do here. Let me see what I'm going to do. Yep, right finger is on top, left hand flips out. So the right palm faces your head, left hand the wall behind you, and then hook your fingers and just kind of resist there. So pull on your fingers as your knees are they're nice and lazy on the floor there. They're not really doing much. They're relaxed. And then inhale, lift your knees up, and then I'm going to switch the hand clasping. So now my right hand flips out, left palm faces my head. Pull on the fingers, and then let your knees go over to the right. If that hand clasping makes no sense to you and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing here? Just let go of it. It was just something that felt good to me in the moment. Or if you have any other arm variations, this is the time of the practice for you to work according to what you need. So really tap into what your body is telling you, what it's telling you that you need here just to set up for a comfortable, brief moment of Shavasana. And if you have longer than a brief moment, stop this video and take as long as you've got. That's amazing. Take as long as you can here. Get in any additional stretches. Like I said, that's going to help you balance out your energy systems here so that you can comfortably rest. Get your stuff out of the way. Let your arms relax down next to your side, or set yourself up in any position that's comfortable. And just take a moment here to notice the balance. Balance in your legs, your arms, the top, the bottom of your body, the right side and the left side of your body. Not just your physical sensation, but your breath. Notice how you're breathing through the right side and the left side, if it feels different, if the breath feels like it flows smoother or freer in one side. Not judging it, not fixing it, just noticing. And notice the front and the back side of your body. Same thing. Notice the physical sensation as well as the energetic, so your breath. If it's moving more in one side, one front, or the back, more in the front or more in the back, and just feel it. Sometimes just noticing it will make the change that you need to feel more balanced. So sometimes just becoming aware of the gripping in your upper back or front of your body will help to relax it, and then your breath will move a little bit more evenly. Again, we're looking for balance, not just physically balancing on one foot, but finding balanced energy, balanced thoughts, balanced feelings, taking the good and the bad, and letting them balance each other out. All right, everyone, take your time here. Please feel free to relax as long as you can. But as always, at the end of your practice, when you do finish, just give yourself a nod of gratitude and appreciation. Thanks, yogis.